Hi, and welcome to your practice today. Thank you for joining me. My name is Mary. For today's practice, it will be helpful to have a blanket that you can roll up. If you don't have one, that's fine, but it might be nice for practice. Today, we're going to be exploring compassion, particularly self-compassion. So I think it's really easy to be very hard on ourselves. And when we're really hard on ourselves, sometimes that translates to being difficult and hard on other people. So let's start our practice on our backs and settle in. So as you begin to settle in, bring awareness to your breath. And as you're bringing awareness to your breath, allow other things that are on your mind to drift away. So you could maybe notice if you're carrying tension, maybe in your shoulders, in your neck. Maybe you could give your head just a little yes and no shake and notice if you're carrying tension. And then just do a little body scan. So starting from your head, notice if you maybe are furrowing your brow, scrunching, pursing your lips maybe. Let your face relax, let your neck relax, shoulders, feel your back settling in. Follow your breath, breathing in and out, noticing the sensations of your breath. And then once you've settled in, think about how you talk to yourself. Are you kind? Are you forgiving? And as we go through practice today, think about being kind and loving to yourself, letting go of perfection. If your body can't do something perfectly, letting go of that thought and just loving yourself just as you are. So I will read a poem by Maya Angelou. It's called Touched by an Angel. We, unaccustomed to courage, exiles from delight, live coiled in shells of loneliness until love leaves its high holy temple and comes into our sight to liberate us into life. Love arrives, and in its train comes ecstasies, old memories of pleasure, ancient histories of pain. Yet if we are bold, love strikes away the chains of fear from our souls. We are weaned from our timidity in the flush of love's light. We dare to be brave, and suddenly we see that love costs all we are and will ever be. Yet it is only love which sets us free. Bring awareness to your breath and take a full inhale from your belly all the way up your ribs into your chest, and then let the air go through your mouth. And let's take one more of those deep full inhales, belly, ribs, all the way up to your chest, and then just let the air go. When you're ready, roll onto your side and then make your way to an all fours position. So beginning with your hands beneath your shoulders, your knees about hip width distance apart, and just start some cat-cow movement. So bring your chin and tailbone up as you inhale. And when you exhale, rainbow your spine, draw your chin towards your chest and tuck in your tailbone. And then move with your own breath, loosening up your spine, breathing in, chin and tailbone up, exhaling, tucking chin and tailbone. And we'll do that for one more breath. And then curl your toes, lift your knees off the ground, and then come into downward dog, keeping your knees bent. Let your neck relax. Once again, giving a yes, no shake to allow tension to drip out of your neck. You could pedal your feet, bringing one heel to the ground, towards the ground, and then the other. Just loosening up your body, noticing if you feel tight, and having compassion for your body as it is right now. When you're ready to take a breath in, look towards your hands and walk your feet up to your hands and come to a halfway lift. So have a very straight, flat back, the crown of your head reaching forward. Now hinge and fold, bending your knees a lot, and rest your chest on the top of your thighs. Let your neck relax. And we'll just stay here for a couple of breaths. And you can play with maybe straightening your legs a little bit, not overstretching, but maybe just a couple of pulses just to feel the opening in the back of your legs. When you're ready to take a breath in, ground your feet into the earth and rise up as you're inhaling. Bring your arms out to your sides and then up to the sky. Now bring your hands, clasp your hands behind your head, and we're just going to do a little back stretch. So opening your chest area, almost like you've been sitting at a desk for a long time and you just want to open up your heart. We'll just stay here for a couple breaths. And then when you're ready to exhale, bring your arms down to your sides. Now press your feet into the earth, bring your arms up as you're inhaling, and then hinge at your hips as you forward fold. Tense your fingers, step your right foot back into low lunge. Place your right knee on the ground and then rise up into low lunge. You could have your hands on your left knee. Now once again, bring your hands behind your head and open up into just a slight back bend. And then bring your hands down to frame your left foot. Curl your right toes, step your left foot back into downward dog. Breathe in as you come into all fours. Exhale, sink into child's pose, resting your forehead on the mat, your arms out in front of you. And we'll take a breath here. When you're ready to breathe in, come back to all fours. Curl your toes, bring your hips high and back to downward dog. And then walk your feet up to your hands to come to halfway lift. Hinge and forward fold, and then press into the ground to rise up. Bring your hands behind your head, open up, and then exhale, bring your hands to your sides. Another deep breath in, arms out and up, and then hinge at your hips as you forward fold. Tense your fingers, step your left foot back into low lunge. Rest your left knee on the ground. Rise up, placing your hands on your right knee this time. Bring your arms behind your head and open up. Now bring your hands down to frame your right foot. Step back to downward dog. Breathe in as you come to all fours and then sink down into child's pose. Breathe in, come back to all fours. Curl your toes, bring your hips high and back to downward dog. Let your neck relax. Look to your hands. Walk your feet up as you come to halfway lift. Hinge and forward fold, and then press your feet into the ground to rise up. Bring your hands behind your head, open up, and then bring your hands down to your sides. Press your feet into the ground, reaching, extending upward. Stand on your tippy toes, and then bring your hands through heart center. Tent your fingers, step your right foot back into low lunge. Plant your hands, step your left foot back into downward dog. Breathe in as you come into plank or plank on knees. If you're up in plank, draw your heels towards the back of the room. Draw your belly, your navel towards your spine. Now lower to your knees and then lower to your belly, squeezing your sides with your arms as you lower your forehead and belly all the way to the ground. Press the tops of your feet into the earth. Lift your chest up slightly. Draw your shoulders down and back into baby cobra. Lower your head and chest. Now press back into all fours first, and then curl your toes to bring your hips high and back to downward dog. Look to your hands. Walk your feet up to your hands to come to halfway lift. Hinge and forward fold, and then press your feet into the ground to rise up, extending your arms outward, up to the sky, and then stand on your tippy toes. Bring your hands to your heart and down to your sides. Take another full deep breath in, reaching, extending your arms. Hinge and fold at your hips, tent your fingers. This time step your left foot back into low lunge. Now plant your hands, step your right foot back into downward dog. Breathe in, come to plank or plank on knees. And then lower all the way to your belly, squeezing your sides as you lower. Press the tops of your feet into the ground, lift your chest and chin up. Draw your shoulder blades down and back. Feeling sensation in your upper back, feeling the muscles working. Now lower your forehead to the ground. Press into your hands, come up to all fours, curl your toes, bring your hips high and back to downward dog. Breathe in, look to your hands, walk your feet up to your hands to come to halfway lift. Hinge and forward fold, and then press your feet into the ground to rise up, reaching, extending, stretching. Stand on your tippy toes, and then bring your hands to your heart and down to your sides. Another full deep breath in, opening, extending, reaching. Hinge at your hips, tent your fingers, step your right foot back. We're going to high lunge. So find your foot placement, making sure your feet are in two tracks and not in alignment with one another. This will give you better balance as you rise up. You could start bringing your hands on your hips, making sure your foot placement feels okay. Stand on the tippy toe of your right foot. You're making sure your knee doesn't track over your ankle, so adjust there. Now bring your arms up and then bring your hands behind your head. And we're going to do that little back bend again, opening up the chest area. And we'll stay here for a breath or two, feeling the strength in your legs, maybe feeling some shaking and wobbling. And then bring your hands down to frame your left foot. Step your left foot back into plank or plank on knees. Now lower all the way to your belly. Rest your forehead on the mat. This time we're rising up into cobra. So we'll rise up a little higher. So bringing your chest and up, bending back a little bit further, but still drawing your shoulders back, pressing the tops of your feet into the earth. This time feeling sensation in your upper back and lower back. Now lower to the ground. Press up into all fours and then into downward dog. Look to your hands, walk your feet up to your hands to come to halfway lift. Hinge and forward fold, and then press into the ground to rise up all the way to your tippy toes, and then bring your hands to your heart and down to your side. Press your feet into the earth to rise up, reaching, extending, hinge and fold, tense your fingers. This time step your left foot back, once again going to high lunge. Adjust your feet placement, and then bring your hands to your hips first, standing on the tippy toes of your back foot. Bring your arms up, and then bring your hands behind your head and open up your chest. And we'll take 2 breaths here, being grateful for the strength in your legs. And then as you're ready to exhale, frame your right foot, plant your hands, step your right foot back into downward dog. Let your neck relax. And then look to your hands, walk your feet up to your hands to come to halfway lift. Hinge and forward fold, and then press your feet into the earth to rise up one more time, reaching, extending, standing on your tippy toes, and then bring your hands to your heart and down to your sides. So take a full deep breath in, reaching, extending, hinge and fold, tense your fingers, step your left foot back, ground your left foot into the earth, press up with your hands on your hips, and then turn your chest and hips to the left and come into a warrior 2 position. So your front knee will be at about a right 90-degree angles, really placing extra weight on the knife edge of your back foot. So feeling the strength in your back leg. Your arms will be out to your sides, reaching, extending, and feeling that openness in your chest. And we'll take a breath or 2 here. Once again, bringing awareness to the strength of your legs. And notice where your mind's at. Are you being kind to yourself? Now flip your right palm, reach over to reverse. Draw your right shoulder a little bit back in space, once again to open up your chest area, open up your heart. Now come forward, place your right elbow on your right knee, left hand on your left hip. This time draw your left shoulder blade back in space. So opening up your chest. You could stay here, or you could bring your left hand either up to the sky or reaching overhead for extended side angle pose. Notice if you've bent towards the ground, and if you have, maybe bring your hand back to your hip to find that opening and expansion across your chest. Now press into your right foot as you rise up back into warrior 2. Your legs might be feeling a little bit wobbly. Breathe into the strength of your legs. Now cartwheel your hands down to frame your left foot. Step your left foot up to meet your right to come to halfway lift. Hinge and forward fold, and then press into the ground to rise up. Bring your hands to your heart and down to your sides. Now come to a mountain or Tadasana pose. So have your feet about hip width distance apart. Have a slight micro bend to your knee. First draw your shoulders up towards your ears and then down and back. Once again, feeling that openness in your heart. So we're coming into dancer pose. So we're going to start by bringing most of the weight to your right foot, standing up tall, You can start by tenting your left foot as you get your balance on your right foot. If you're ready, bend your left knee and then hold on to the top of your left foot with your left hand. So the palm of your left hand will be cradling the top of your left foot. So this might be a spot where you'd like to stay, but if you'd like to come into dancer pose, do so by first pressing your left foot into your hand and then pivoting forward, reaching your right hand forward. So as you reach and extend, find this push-pull movement. So reaching forward, but then pulling back with your left side. And then once you've found your version of this pose, settle in. It might be helpful to find a spot to gaze at, to focus your concentration. Notice where your breath's at. And we'll take one more breath. And then we'll come back to a mountain pose. Take a full deep breath in, reaching, extending. Bring your hands through your heart, tense your fingers, and then this time step your right foot back, ground your right foot into your mat. Press into your left foot as you rise up. Bring your chest and pelvis to the right and come open up into Warrior Two. So your hands will be out to your sides, reaching, extending, gazing out over your left fingertips. And feel free to move your feet around to find a position that feels right for your body. So if it doesn't feel quite right, adjust and be compassionate with yourself. Flip your left palm, reaching, extending overhead. Just bringing your left shoulder back just a tiny bit to open up. And then when you're ready to exhale, bring your left elbow to left knee, right hand to right hip. And then once again, open up your heart by drawing your right shoulder slightly back in space. You could stay here, or you could bring your right hand up to the sky or overhead. And keeping that opening. So maybe coming back to having your right hand on your hip to maintain that openness. And notice if you're placing a ton of weight. I just noticed I was resting a lot of weight on my right elbow or left elbow on my left knee. So see if you can use a little bit more of the strength of your leg and less weight on your arm. Now press up into your left foot, back into Warrior Two. Now cartwheel your hands down to frame your left foot. Step your right foot to meet your left into halfway lift. Hinge and forward fold. And then press into the ground to rise up. Bring your hands through your heart and down to your side. So now come into mountain or Tadasana again, finding that rooting and grounding into the earth. So once you've found your balance, stand up tall, draw your shoulder blades down and back, and then bring most of your weight to your left foot. You could tense your right foot as you gain your balance, bend your right knee, and then hold on to the top of your right foot with your right hand. So cradle your foot in your hand, and then start to press your right foot into your right hand as you lean forward, bringing your left arm forward. So reaching, extending, opening up your heart and finding a push and pull. So pressing your foot into your hand, but reaching forward, reaching, extending, finding the possibilities. noticing your inhales and your exhales. And then when you're ready, you can come down to mountain pose again. So take a full deep breath in, bring your hands to your heart, and then forward fold. Come to all fours first, and we'll go all the way to our bellies. Rest your forehead on the mat. Bring your arms out to the sides. You could have your palms down or up, so find a position that works for you. So we're coming into Shalabhasana or locust pose. So when you're ready to inhale, bring your chest and arms and legs off the ground. And we'll take a couple of breaths here. And then lower down. And we'll do that one more time. So when you're ready to take your breath in, lift your chest and arms and legs off the ground, not straining your neck too much. So keeping your gaze just slightly out in front of you. Feeling the sensation and the strengthening in your lower back and upper back as you draw your shoulder blades back. And then lower down. So now you can come into Shalabhasana again or come into boat pose. So bend your knees. If you're going into boat pose, bend your knees and then clasp your feet with your hands. Draw your thighs in towards one another. So you could stay right here, or when you're ready on your inhale, lift your chest up and then press your feet into your hands into bow pose. So feeling the expansion in your heart, drawing your thighs towards one another, feeling the sensation of your breath pressing into the earth as you hold the pose. And then you can bring your knees down, release your grip, and then place your hands on top of one another in front of you and rest your forehead on the top of your hand. So we'll just take a breath or two here. Now, press up into all fours, and then we're going to sink into child's pose. So reaching your hands in front of you, resting your forehead on the mat. And we'll just take a couple breaths here. Breathing in and out. Noticing where your thoughts are. Are you being kind to yourself? Are you loving yourself just as you are? Now press up into all fours. I'm going to come to standing on knees. So if your knees are sensitive, you could fold your mat up so you have a little bit of extra cushioning. So we'll start with the tops of our feet planted on the earth, and we're just going to lean back. So using the strength of your upper thighs to lean back and forward. And we'll do that with breath a couple times. So just lean back and come forward. So you could continue that movement back and forward, or you could bring your hands once again behind your head, drawing your shoulder blades back, opening up your chest, and then lean back. Just a slight lean back and forward. And we'll do that 2 more times. So back and forward, and one more time. Back and forward. So bring your hands down to your sides. You can straighten up your mat if you use that. And then once again, we'll just have one more time just to quickly sink into child's pose. Come back to your breath. And then when you're ready, press yourself up and come to a seated position. So from a seated position, bring your legs into a V shape. Bring your arms up and out, and then we're going to twist to the left and fold over the left knee. Let your neck relax. Notice your breath. Feel the sensation of the stretch on the back side of your left leg. So from here, rise up a little bit. Bring your right arm up to the sky, and now fold over your left leg, but opening your chest. So coming into this kind of an arched position. So feeling a stretch all the way down your right side body. You could rest your left elbow on the ground for a little bit more balance. Press yourself up to a seated position. Bring your arms up, reaching, extending. This time twist to the right and fold over your right leg. Let your neck relax. Notice if your left sitting bone has come up, and see if you can get even weight on both of your sitting bones. Now bring your left arm up to the sky, opening up your chest, and then fold over. So feeling the length and extension and stretch all along your left side body. And maybe you could come up a little bit to have more opening. So maybe less of a stretch, but more opening across your heart. And then come up to a seated position. Bring your legs out in front of you. We'll come to a forward fold. So bring your arms up first, then hinge at your hips to forward fold, and finding a hand placement that feels good for you. So maybe your hands are on your shins, maybe reaching towards your toes. So find a position that's comfortable for you, where you're not straining yourself, but where you're feeling a nice stretch and lengthening all across your legs, up into your lower back. And breathe into the pose. Noticing your inhales and exhales, feeling the sensation of the air as it comes in your nostrils and then leaving. And then you can press yourself up into a seated position, and then find your way to your back. So have your feet planted on the earth, so your knees will be up. Now lift your feet off the ground and place your hands on your knees, and we're just going to do some hip circles just to loosen up the hips a little bit. Feeling your back muscles relaxing and settling in. You could switch directions. Now bring your arms out to your sides, and we're just going to slowly bring your bring your knees to the right. There, that's easier. And then your left hand will be stretching open. So you'll feel a stretch along your chest and your left side, feeling the twist and openness on your side body. You could either gaze up at the ceiling or maybe even gazing to the left at your left arm. And just allow yourself to settle in. Notice if you're holding tension. See if there's anything that you can let go of. When you're ready to take a breath in, bring your knees up and then we'll twist over to the left side. So letting your knees come to the left, and you can play around with your knee placement. So maybe bringing your knees closer or further from your chest, depending where your flexibility is. And then either gazing at the ceiling or to the right. And just feeling and noticing where tension is letting go. As you breathe in, bring your knees up and then take a full body stretch. So stretching your arms one direction, your feet the other, and then we'll come into a resting pose. So you could come into Shavasana, so your legs a little bit spread apart, your arms out to your side with your palms up, or you could use your rolled up blanket and rest your back on your rolled up blanket, making sure your head is on the blanket too, and then opening your arms up out to the side, so feeling an openness in your chest area. So finding a position where you can find comfort and stillness for the last part of our practice. So start to settle in and bring awareness to your breath, and use your gentle breath to help relax yourself. So start by sending your gentle breath down your arms, past your elbows, all the way to your fingertips, releasing tension and bringing in relaxation. Send your gentle breath to your neck. Allow your neck to relax, letting your head melt into the mat. Use your gentle breath to soften the muscles of your face, your jaw, and your tongue. Send your gentle breath down past your shoulders, upper back, mid-back, and low back, and feel yourself settling in. Send your gentle breath down your legs, past your knees, all the way to your toes, breathing in relaxation, letting go of tension. As you're resting here, say these words in your head. I love and accept myself fully. I am grateful. I am loved and loving. I feel compassion and empathy for myself and all beings. I forgive myself and others. I let go of resentment and grudges, and I love. There's nothing left for you to do. Now is your time to simply be. Bring awareness to your breath. Start to lengthen your inhales and your exhales, breathing in energy and oxygen. Feel your toes and fingers come alive as you come back into this space. And as you continue to breathe more deeply, you might feel some movement in your arms and your legs. And then when you're ready, roll onto your right side, using your right arm as a little pillow, maybe drawing your knees up into a fetal position. Take a moment here in gratitude, thanking yourself for practicing today. And as you go out into your day, have love and kindness for yourself and for others around you. So when you're ready, press yourself up into a seated position. Draw your hands to your heart and take a moment here to feel and notice the beating of your heart. And once again, remembering to have compassion and kindness for yourself. And don't be so hard on yourself. Thank you so much for practicing today. Namaste.